All right. Welcome back. We are now at day number 3 of 4 for the employment interviews. So we've got a total of 7 interviews today. So we'll go down the list, including the trio, which will have 3 interviews. Like before, if you are not interviewing today, just work on your response to 2 interviews for your attendance. And look forward to seeing this next round. Again, be thinking about the type of interview you're interested in for your final interview in the class. I'll circulate by the end of this week a preference Google form where you can indicate the type of interview you're interested in pursuing. So after this week, we'll get into discussing some of the final types of interviews. And then as we get into the end of the term, we will do the last round of interviews. Just as a reminder, we do not meet for finals day. Instead, for finals, we have a reflection essay that you'll be turning in through Canvas. So as you're planning the remainder of your schedule, we don't have a formal class meeting during finals week, but we will be meeting and concluding interviews during week number 10. So let's go ahead and get started with our partnership of Audrey and Lily. Again, 6 to 8 minutes. I'll give you hand signal at your time, and you're also welcome to time your talk.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for applying for our position as a research analyst. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Are there any questions you have before we begin?
Not right now.
So the first question is, what interested you in this position?
I want to be able to help people and businesses who are in need, and I have always loved researching and learning new things. And I am confident that my skills, experiences, and passions align well with the requirements for this position and company.
I see on your resume that you have an education in this type of work. What experience do you have?
So my major in cybersecurity has prepared me well for this position, since it has taught me to analyze data, identify corrections, and extract meaningful insights. And I have also taken several math courses, which have encouraged me to develop analytical and logical reasoning skills. I am proficient in Python, which has been useful in data analysis, and I hope to bring my skills into this position.
Yeah, when were you first introduced to that?
For my degree, I was required to take classes, and so I was first introduced during some of my classes.
Yeah. Can you tell me something about yourself that isn't on your resume?
So I really enjoy doing Sudoku, since it helps me to pay attention to detail, and in turn has helped me develop logical thinking and working with numerical data.
This job does require like analyzing, interpreting, presenting information. So can you tell me about how you manage high stress situations?
So I try to stay calm, and I divide the tasks into ones that are easier to manage. And I prioritize the tasks based on importance, and I ask coworkers or friends and professors for help and support if I need.
Okay. What is your comfort level with speaking in large groups?
I am not always the most comfortable speaking in large groups, but I have had a lot of practice with getting out of my comfort zone. And I have confidence in my ability to be able to do that in this position and bring in this opportunity.
How do you stay organized?
So I write a lot of lists, and I like everything that needs to be done. And I plan my day every morning to make sure that I get everything that needs to be done that day.
In what way would you like to receive constructive feedback?
So I think constructive feedback is important for improving myself in all aspects of my life, especially my job. And I would like to receive feedback through direct one-on-one conversations with suggestions and guidance on how to improve.
Is there any way you wouldn't want to receive?
Probably with like suggestions are like very important, so if someone just like tells me. Like what I need like improving on without any suggestions.
What is your greatest weakness?
I tend to take on too much responsibility and I have a hard time saying no. Which has caused me to take on more than I can handle sometimes, but and resulting in me like getting stressed out, but I have learned to like say no, if I have too much going on.
And what would you say are some of your strengths? And
I'm very hardworking and goal oriented in all aspects of my life, including schoolwork and sports. And that has really helped me to get things done. Like if I have something to work towards. And I am also attentive to detail, which has helped me with data collecting and researching.
what are some long-term career goals, even if it's not with us?
I really hope that this job allows me to gain knowledge to move forward in my long-term career goal of earning my master's degree and advancing to senior or lead research analyst.
Yeah, and would you consider doing that with our company?
Possibly if I get the opportunity to.
How would your previous coworkers describe you?
I believe my previous coworkers would describe me as hardworking and reliable with the ability to step in and problem solve if needed. And I have strived to develop good communication skills and support with my coworkers.
Can you tell me about a time that you resolved conflict within a working environment?
If like two people are like disagreeing on like, something that needs to get done, I, step in and make sure everyone remains calm and like knows what they need to do to resolve the conflict.
And finally, do you have like any questions for me about the position or anything?
Yes. What does a typical day look like in this position?
A typical day will start around 8 a.m. and end around 5 p.m. So it would just entail paperwork. You'll spend a lot of time in front of a computer.
What is the next step in the interview process and when can I expect to hear back?
Our next steps in the interview process are to reach out to all the candidates within 3 days to let them know our decision and continue further. You have any other questions? No, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just for getting us started, and when you're ready, we will flip around.
Hello, my name is Audrey and I'll be your interviewer today. Thank you for your interest in the community social worker position. And I look forward to learning more about you. We will have a few minutes towards the end of the interview, but do you have any questions?
I do not.
So why did you apply for this position?
I applied for this position because I care for my community and I really want to do better. I knew since a good 6 years ago that community work was a subject or field I wanted to get into.
Tell me about yourself and your background.
Yeah, my background in what sense, my upbringing and education.
Anything that you would like to share.
Well, I grew up in this community, so I have a lot of love for it. And I knew that I wanted to do better by it. And then I did go to Eastern Oregon University to get my bachelor's in sociology and anthropology and then a minor in communication.
Can you tell me about some of your biggest weaknesses?
Some of my biggest weaknesses is probably overwhelming myself with the amount of work that I accept or wanting to take on a lot of responsibility at once.
How have you learned to deal with? money?
I have learned to set boundaries with myself, with coworkers, with clients. I have learned what self-care for me looks like and prioritizing personal needs and family time.
What are some of your strengths and how do you see them as a valuable aspect to our company?
Some of my strengths are probably my work ethic. I go above and beyond like what is asked of me for a job and position. And my ability to have sympathy and care for the people that I am working with and the clients I'm serving.
What qualifications do you have that would make you a good fit for this position?
I was a resident assistant for a year and then I became the supervisor of the resident assistant, so hall coordinator. So in a sense, within the community of the university, I did have a built-in community that I served and the people within it.
How do you think that those helped you with your social work?
Probably just like personal interactions with people, trying to figure out what are like underlying issues or issues we need to tackle as a community, or just even listening to what like residents in the community need.
What inspired you to want to become a community social
What inspired me to become a community social worker is probably like my upbringing in my community and just wanting to be that person that I wish my family had when they came to the States. So I think it'll be good for me to find those type of people because those are my type of people and like the community I'm trying to serve.
Social workers must have excellent communication skills. Can you provide an example of when you had to communicate effectively?
I have hosted multiple meetings effectively and efficiently throughout my time at Eastern Oregon University, whether it's being the president of Latino Impact or being the supervisor of the resident assistants or even just training resident assistants in like classes.
You'll likely have many cases at once. How do you see yourself prioritizing and organizing those tasks?
I see myself prioritizing and organizing by understanding which ones are time sensitive and what tasks I have to put first by when deadlines are and understanding what things can be held off for the next day.
Can you describe a situation in which you had to mediate a conflict between individuals or groups?
Yes, as a resident assistant, I did have to manage conflict within residents that lived in the same dorms. And to set that up, we did have contracts in which they had to uphold and just mediating and keeping calm and making sure everyone feels heard in the situation.
How would you approach building relationships with community members and organizations?
By reaching out and understanding everyone's, I guess, brand or mission statement or what they stand for. Hosting events is really helpful and reaching out just like in their personal lives to see what's going on with them.
How has your major in sociology prepared you for this position?
It helped me understand community cycles and how to analyze them. It helped me understand resources and how we can utilize them in the community. It showed me that there were so many more resources and other opportunities that weren't even made aware of to community members.
What previous work experience do you have?
I did mention earlier, I was a hall coordinator and then a resident assistant. And then other than that, I guess I can add president Latino Impact.
What did you like best about your previous job?
What I liked best was the community that we built amongst ourselves and the work environment that we held, that we understood when it was time for business and when it was time for friendships and outside work relationships.
Before we wrap up, do you have any questions?
I do not.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for your time and interest in this position. We will get back to you in about a week on the next steps.
Perfect, thank you.
Great, thank you both. So we'll next hear from our trio. You're welcome to decide in what order the interviews happen. All good.
Mr. County Lynn, thank you for coming. Welcome to our establishment here. How's your day been so far?
It's been good, it's been good.
Good, I'd like to hear that. So once again, thank you for taking your time to sit down for this interview regarding your application for this position. My name is Wyatt Hawkins and I will be administering this interview. Is there any questions that you have before we proceed?
Not any that I can think of.
All right, let's begin. My first question for you is what drew you to this position?
What drew me into wanting to be an accountant was the fact that I've always been pretty good with numbers, like ever since I was young. So from a young age, I've always kept the accounting position like as a possibility. And then also my mom is an accountant as well, so she has thrown the idea of being an accountant.
Do you have any previous work experience in accounting?
Not particularly any specific work experience with accounting, but I've taken many college accounting courses that have helped me learn more about accounting. And a lot of my past job experiences require being good with numbers in like certain situations.
What do you think makes you stand out from other candidates? Are there any particular strengths that you like to highlight?
Some of the things that help me stand out from other candidates is probably my work ethic and my leadership skills in certain situations. When I am working, I am looking to do the best job that I can in any task that I am doing. And when someone needs to step up and lead in a certain situation, I can probably do that with no hesitation or little hesitation. So yeah, probably work ethic and leadership.
Yeah, those are a couple of things that you really like to highlight here. What would you say are some of your weaknesses?
Some of my weaknesses are that sometimes I can get a little too stressed out and a little flustered to the point where I need to just breathe and relax before I do anything else. So probably just one of my weaknesses is just stressing myself out to the point where I need to take a minute. So once I take a minute though, to calm down though, I'm right back to work and everything is pretty fine. So
Can you tell me a scenario where you had to work with someone that you did not get along?
there was this one time when I was working at Nike, one of my coworkers was not the nicest person in the world. So, and he was also a very blunt person. So I was not very fond of him, but I kept my personal feelings of that certain coworker to myself. And I made sure that his attitude towards others and myself did not let it impact my job performance. So instead I learned to work with him, even though I did not like it.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your ability? Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your leadership skills?
I would say probably a 4. I've not had a situation where I was not able to get something done under pressure, but sometimes certain situations can be more stressful than others. So I would definitely say a 4.
And using the previous scale, how would you rate your ability to work well under pressure?
Well, when it comes to my leadership skills, I'd probably say a 4 or 5. If I had to pick one number, I guess I would say a 4. I would look at myself as a good leader in the workplace and a person that can look up, people can look up to when a leader is.
Let's see. I understand you used to work at a country club.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experience there? Any breakthroughs or setbacks?
Well, my experience working at the Ligurian Country Club this past summer was a really good one. I was able to build relationships with people that I would never have thought to even talk to, let alone get to know them better. So some setbacks from working there, though, were not knowing some of the golf knowledge that a worker at the golf shop that usually should know. So like, for example, I had to know like which tees women and men play from, which at the time I had no clue because I hadn't played golf that much. And I honestly wasn't really a golf person, so I definitely had to learn some things as I went. So some setbacks is probably just not knowing some of the golf stuff that I definitely should have known.
Well, I think that about wraps things up. All the questions I have for you today. Is there anything you'd like to ask before we conclude?
Yeah, some questions before we left were, what exactly are you looking for in a candidate for this accounting job?
Oh, well, we're mostly looking for someone who's a hard worker and can work well under pressure. Like someone who can take charge and really just get the job done.
Okay, awesome. And then another question that I had was, what is the culture like here?
Overall, we have a pretty friendly culture around here. Everyone gets along pretty well, and we like to just help everyone out. Is there anything else?
Bad about this?
All right, well, thank you for coming. We'll be contacting you within the week.
Awesome. Sweet, thank you. Yeah. Hi, Gabe, thank you for coming in today. My name is Johnny Wynn, and I'm going to be interviewing you on behalf of the legal assistant position. Do you have any questions before we start?
No, thank you for the opportunity to interview with you, of course, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the near future.
Awesome, that sounds good. All right, so to start, how did you hear about the job of legal assistant?
I was contacted by a member of your office when the position opened up because I've done some work with you guys in the past, and opportunity for advancement is always nice.
Awesome. Okay, and then what made you want to work as a legal assistant?
I will work as a legal assistant because it'll give me a chance to dip my toes into law, before I commit to like college for a full degree. And it's also, a pretty decent job, meet a lot of interesting people, and it just a lot of opportunity for advancement,
For sure. All right, and then what does your educational background look like?
I recently earned my master's in business and management and am moving off into the workforce.
Awesome. And then what steps have you taken to put yourself on a career path of a legal assistant?
Well, like I said, I have worked for several law firms in the past, including this one. So, it's a good step. I've worked as both data entry and management, and then I've also worked as a receptionist. So I'm familiar on dealing with a lot of the raw data. And I'm also familiar with dealing with a lot of the client side things.
Okay.
And I also filled in for legal assistants due to a staffing shortage for a while.
Okay.
So yeah, I actually got some practical experience in the field.
Very nice. All right, and then what makes you different from the other candidates we are interviewing for this job?
Well, like I said, I have practical experience in the area. You're familiar with me personally, my work ethic, I'm reliable, timely, organized, never late to work or anything. So I feel that kind of gives me an edge.
Awesome. And then how do you feel about working in a group?
Oh, I'm quite happy with working on groups. Yeah. If I wasn't being an assistant, probably wouldn't be the best job,
Yeah.
would it?
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of collaborative work in the past, and I've never had any issues with people, even ones that everyone else in my workplace hated. I've been able to get along with them all right, that's also why I got to deal with them a lot, but whatever.
So then would you say that you'd rather work in a group than individually, or the other way around?
Yeah, I usually rather work in a group. Generally, it's easier to get things done with a couple people working on something, just power through.
Awesome. And then what are some of your greatest strengths? You say?
Yeah, well, number one, I'd say my work ethic, I'm always on time, never late, all work on project until it's done. I'm willing to do overtime and that sort of thing, which is pretty good when things tend to pop up, even, fields like this. And I also am pretty sociable. I get along with almost everyone, I'm used to dealing with irritating clients or, angry coworkers. So like, I've got the experience of dealing with people.
Awesome. And so then, coming off of the strengths question, what are some of your greatest weaknesses? Or what are some of your weaknesses? My friends?
Yeah, I'd say that sometimes, I'll kind of burn myself out, I'll just push too hard on certain projects and just burn through all my energy. And then, before the weekend, I'll just be super tired. It's not like Friday or something. But I've been practicing a lot of time management stuff lately, and I've really improved on that, and I'm very, very happy.
Okay. Awesome. And so then on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest, how good has your schooling done for you to succeed in the legal assistant profession?
I'd probably say a 3 or 4, or if I had to nail it down for certain, just because I've had a fair bit of education, I've got a master's, but it's not specifically related to law, although I have taken multiple law classes.
Right. Okay. And then have you taken any jobs in the past that prepare you for becoming a legal assistant?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I have worked in both data entry and as a receptionist for law firms. I'm also a second generation law person. I've had, lawyers in the family that I've been around my whole life, and I filled in the responsibilities of legal assistants before, so I'm quite familiar with the work, the people, the culture. I'm pretty well equipped to do it myself.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap anything up, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, how's your company culture?
The culture here is actually pretty great. Everyone gets along pretty well. And I'd say everything works smoothly because of the relationships that we build inside of our company. So if you were to be added with us, I feel like you'd be a great addition because of the relationships that you build in the future.
All right, yeah, that's great. And then my other question, what do you think would be the most important things to succeed in this role?
I think the most important things would probably be personable relationships that you build with your clients, and also professional relationships that you build with your clients as well. So I feel like the relationships that you build with certain people would probably be the most important aspects of this job.
All right, yeah, makes complete sense.
Well, any other questions before we wrap up?
No, that's about all I have for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting me interview you on behalf of the legal assistant position, and have a great day.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Mr. Webb. Have a good day.
Wrapping up this trio, Gabriel, your blue light.
Hey, thank you for coming in today, and interviewing for the cybersecurity position. So before we begin, do we have any questions before we start?
Nope, ready to start?
All right. So how did you hear about this position?
It's kind of funny, actually. I sort of happened upon it by chance. I was looking for some computer programming jobs near me, and just popped up, and I took an interest in it.
Well, I'm glad our advertising's working there. Now, what kind of background do you have in computer programming?
I don't have much of a background at the moment. I'm sort of new to this. I am still working on a bachelor's for computer programming. So, yeah,
Yeah, so that means you are formally educated in it.
yeah, working on
All righty, yeah. And what kind of got you interested in the field?
it. I sort of had a knack for it. It came to me really naturally, and I've just been working on it, and I've kind of enjoyed it so far in school. So.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people do it. Do you have any work experience that you feel really translates into the field, either skill wise or just?
In general, I worked as a manager at Safeway back in my hometown, and there, yeah, helped me learn the importance of a good work ethic and communication.
Yeah, those are very important things for cybersecurity expert here. And yeah, so how do you feel about working in group settings and such?
I'm pretty comfortable in a work, group setting. I would had to do it quite often back at my old job. And, yeah. I've always been a team player, played a lot of team sports in high school, even a little bit in college. So.
Oh, right, that's excellent, that's excellent. That's important for the security expert to be able to communicate, you know, what the everyone should be doing and whatnot to keep themselves safe. And right, well, do you prefer working in a group setting or individual setting?
Personally, I prefer to work by myself. If I don't need help, I won't ask for it, but I don't really have a problem with working with people.
All right, all right. Well, that's, pretty cool, you know. Now what would you say some of your biggest weaknesses are?
Biggest one that comes to mind is probably communication. I know oftentimes I'd have a little miscommunication with some of the higher ups at the store I work for. So,
Yeah, it can be hard to kind of translate that technical jargon into something everyone can understand. Yeah, I understand what you mean on that. And what do you say are some of your biggest strengths, you know?
I'd have to go with work ethic. Just because I know one example in my mind. When I was working at Safeway, there'd be a lot of guys that are just complaining about how they're not getting treated fairly, and I look and half the time they're not getting the job done. And I was able to climb past them within a couple of months.
Well, yeah, that's a great trait to have because in a lot of employees, it can be somewhat lacking, right? And so that would definitely put you ahead of the curve. And all right, so why did you decide to apply for this position specifically?
Well, I obviously took an interest in computer programming, and it's kind of an opportunity to get my feet wet.
All right, yeah, that's reasoning. And why do you think we should hire you in specific this over other candidates that we have applied?
Well, obviously, like I said, I like to get the job done. I work hard, and yeah, that's about it.
All right, yeah. So hard worker will move hard and just get into the field, which is mixed bag, but you know, it means you don't have any negative downsides in it either. So you know that's excellent. Yeah, so I'd say you've got a pretty strong case for yourself here, and you know, you are formally educated in it. So yeah, I'd say this looks pretty good. Now, are there any final questions you have for us?
Just a couple of quick ones. How would you describe your ideal candidate for this position?
Like, as you said, I would say it would be someone who is able to effectively communicate with the group, you know, in a minute. And then also just have a, you know, very good work ethic, because that's a very important part of programming. You just willing to work until it's done, because when things pop up. For example, recently we had a virus on our phones, and the cyber guy just wasn't willing to sit down and just work on it for a long time, and it took him, you know, 2 days to get it fixed,
Right.
which is a very poor look for the company, because we had clients actually showing up to fix it, so
Right.
now we need a new one. Alrighty, yeah, so you know, I think that work ethic will really suit you well here. And all right, so I think that's all the questions I got for today. And we're running a little long time. So thank you again for coming in and interviewing with us here for the cybersecurity expert position. And I wish you luck in the interviewing process, and have a good day.
You do the same.
All right, thank you both, and we'll hear from our final partnership with Emerald Pack.
Good morning, Kai. My name is Kendall Bonzoni. I'm a part of the marketing team here on the Boise Hawks baseball team. I will be conducting your interview today for the position of marketing manager. Do you have any questions?
Will the position mostly be virtual, in person, or a little bit of combination of both?
So there is a little bit of combination. It is primarily in person because you will be with the team, you'll be at the stadium, you'll be collaborating with the other marketing groups. So we'll be primarily be in person, it'll only be virtual when you're traveling. All right, again, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up here in this Boise area, just in CUNA, so I kind of understand the culture of Boise. I'm currently studying marketing at Eastern Oregon University. I plan to have my bachelor, sorry, in the spring. And to describe myself, I'm great working with others. I'm highly communicative, and I'm very open-minded, and I'm very creative, and I come up with a lot of ideas. And with my prior job experience, I've had to problem solve very quickly in crucial situations, so I'm very well versed in that.
Thank you. What would you say is one of your biggest strengths?
I would say my attention to detail. So a lot of the time people find that as a positive, but some small tasks I only take a long time to make sure everything's perfect. And if there's a time constraint, that could kind of run into getting certain tasks done in a certain time. So I would say my attention to detail.
On the time constraint, you describe yourself as someone who needs lots of notice for project and assignments, or do you work a lot under pressure? Short time
I would think I would prefer like longer periods to work on things so I can make sure my work is perfect. But I have had experiences of short time constraints and getting things done. I just feel more comfortable in my work when I have more time and I can actually perfect everything.
What drew you to want to work?
So when I was a kid, I always grew up like watching Boise Hawk games, and I always was disappointed how many people didn't show up. And I think that if there was a culture developed around the Boise Hawks, because in Idaho, premier sports watching is Boise State Broncos for the football team. So I think Boise Hawks, especially as being a farm team, I think it could have a lot of potential. And especially Idaho not having any professional sports teams, I think they have a good chance of harnessing the market in Idaho for a premier sports watching. So that's what I would say, driven to, just the love of sports and watching it when I was growing up. So.
Tell me about a time you took a leadership role.
So with wildland firefighting, I was in charge of a 16-man gang crew. And so that could be really chaotic at times, especially at 2-week assignments. So that was like my second year of doing wildland firefighting. And I was also an engine boss for a year too. So that was only 4 people I was in charge of. But those are the two experiences I've had to actually like leading other people.
Recently, we have been struggling to attract people to buy tickets and fill stands, as you mentioned. As a marketing manager, how would you go about drawing people to buy tickets and fill tickets?
I think it just starts with building a culture around the team, and it's going to take a long time, but I think especially it starts out with the digital marketing and having a strong digital presence and creating more of a family-friendly event instead of just like, this is just a farm team. This is a team that a lot of these guys are hoping to go pro. So like making entertainment first and then maybe baseball second, like make it fun for the kids to show up. So like more families are more willing to show up to these games.
I love that. The world of marketing is ever changing. What ideas would you bring to this team that are relevant to current trends?
Like I said before, with the rise of TikTok, having a strong TikTok presence is a huge thing, especially with the younger culture. So I would say starting off with, because I looked into you guys don't have any a TikTok or anything like that. So starting with that will be a game changer to bringing people into the games.
I see on your resume that you studied marketing at Eastern Oregon University. How do you believe that major and experiences within that major have best prepared you for this position?
Yeah, I think the professors I've had here have given me quite a bit of knowledge on marketing and consumer behavior and how the brain works and how people choose these brands or choose these certain companies they affiliate themselves with. These is part of their identity. So I think using those tactics and making the Boise Hawks a part of somebody's identity, like a lot of sports teams, like MLB teams, will say, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, I'm a Yankees fan. Like
making that strong identity with the Boise Hawks instead of just a regular farm team. That's a lot of these guys are waiting to go to the pros, but making that strong identity with that baseball team. It's good.
What makes you stand out from the candidates for this position?
I would just definitely say, my creativity. I think I'm coming up with a lot of good ideas and a lot of creative things, and I collaborate really well with other people. And my dedication and my passion for sports. I've been an athlete for a lot of my life, so I think that passion kind of runs into who go into this position.
Last question. If you were to receive this position, do you intend to remain on the team on a short-term or long-term basis?
I would definitely prefer long-term. I definitely think, especially the ideas I'm coming in with building a culture around this team is going to take a really long time. Because just with any other brand or any other sports team, it takes a long time. So I definitely want to invest the time, invest the effort, invest all the energy into building the culture around the sports team. So I'd say a long-term basis.
I appreciate your answers and taking time to be today. As we wrap up this meeting, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Perfect. Once again, thank you for coming in. You can expect to hear back from us in the 2 weeks.
Thank you so much.
Great day.
And we will hear from our final interview. Use your devices.
Hello, Kendall. Thank you. My name is Kai Moyer, and before we start this interview, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day and sitting down with me and applying for this position. The purpose of this interview is to find the best possible candidate for the wellness, personal wellness consultant position. Do you have any questions before we start?
I do.
So, just to start off the interview, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Pendleton, Oregon, small little town west of here. I'm one of the oldest of a very large family, so leadership and organization are some of my proudest strengths. I was very fortunate to have graduated from high school with my associate's degree, which is why the dates are within a few days of each other, my high school and college graduation on my resume. I chose to attend Eastern Oregon University to pursue a degree in exercise science because of its extensive health and human performance program. While there, I created meaningful relationships with my peers and mentors through volunteer and research experience that you don't get to see in a lot of other college campuses. While also competing on cross-country and track and field team all 3 years I was there. Being on campus so often, and I tried to escape to the mountains a lot on free weekends to backpack, ski, hike, trail run. So I'm very interested in that.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with personal wellness consulting?
So I've not consulted personally, but within personal health and wellness, my experience stems a lot from the fact that I was an athlete at the collegiate level. That's kind of when I started to learn just how important it is to prioritize wellness in all aspects of life. For example, I noticed that stress in school led to not eating and drinking water as often, which led to acquiring injuries and running, which led to a decrease in just kind of wellness overall in all aspects of life.
What makes you stand out from other wellness consultants or other possible candidates?
So I am very passionate about the world of wellness. I am especially passionate about the connection, significant connection we can make with individuals, especially clients. These clients come to us as personal wellness consultants in some of their most vulnerable times and from all different backgrounds. So whether they're simply wanting to create healthier habits, eat better, exercise more, seek mental health support is a big one. We get to be the ones who guide and support them in that journey, especially with no judgment, because they're only trying to do what's best for themselves, and we're there to support them.
When collaborating with clients, you may receive feedback that they don't want to hear. How do you manage that criticism from clients?
So I think honesty is the best policy as long as it's delivered in the correct way. So at the beginning, when you expect to receive criticism, I think just being honest and open is number one. On top of that,
I think it's important to build a relationship from the beginning that's centered around communication and make it clear from the start that if there is something that I say that is frustrating for my client, that is okay. And they are allowed to be frustrated and I will receive criticism. However, there is a time limit on that criticism. Because at the end of the day, I'm there to help them reach their own goals. So communication is a big one, just kind of talking through, okay, I received that criticism, how can we best move forward in a way that is still reaching goals?
How do you approach creating rapport with clients?
Creating rapport with clients is probably, like I said, communication, but also it's getting to know their background. So what in their life has led them to this point, and also sharing a bit about myself. I'm asking them to be vulnerable with me to best help them. So it's important that I am also vulnerable with them about who I am in my life and how I can connect with them.
Can you provide an example of a time when you've helped, not just necessarily a client, but maybe a colleague or a friend or anybody else, and help them make a significant lifestyle image in their life, or a significant lifestyle change?
So in my research experience in the LEAP lab, I kind of got to see how these individuals took basic wellness information, like it's good to walk 30 minutes a day, and actually implement it in their life and see how, oh wow, if I really do just walk for 30 minutes a day, that significantly changes my overall health and well-being. We would do testing, baseline testing, and then we'd say, okay, just go out, walk, do something simple, some sort of exercise, kind of make it a small task, bite size. And we would come back and we would retest and we notice weight loss, better mental health, even just something as simple as hemoglobin was increased. It was very cool to see that when we broke something down into a bite size. It was like, hey, just go do a little bit of exercise. They were able to come back and see the results.
When providing dietary advice, how do you make sure that recommendations are appropriate for each client?
So throughout my research, especially within my various nutrition classes while studying, I've noticed that there are measurements for macronutrients, micronutrients, vitamins, etc. Every one of your main nutrition fundamentals has measurements that allow you to make a program and a plan that is individual for that client. So as long as you're using the base research and information, you can individualize a plan for anyone, which I think is pretty cool.
Well, I think that's it for the interview. I thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking to me. Like I said before, this will be compared with other candidates to see who is the best possible candidate. Is there any questions for me before
I
we?
do have one question. So because this is a virtually based position, does the company provide necessary equipment and electronics to meet with clients, or is that expected of the employee?
So we do have technology. It's a little outdated. So I personally would recommend, if you have better technology, use your own, but we will provide you the necessary supplies, but it is a little outdated. I've had troubles with using it. So I personally recommend using your own if you have technology more advanced than what we have, but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both. This is a pretty packed interview, Jay, so we're about out of time. I'd be happy to chat with anybody outside of class or email who wants more specific verbal feedback, but I thought people did a really good job in this set of interviews. I really liked candidates coming in with specific questions that could raise potential red flags about the job or just engage with possible issues. One thing I encourage across the board is just continuing to think about weakness responses and thinking about weaknesses that you are taking steps to resolve or address. I think strong responses to weaknesses are not necessarily fundamental things that I can't communicate. I've had trouble with this, but I've taken X, Y, Z steps. So continue to think about that, but good work overall. Please email or give me your attendance for the day. If you haven't done so already. Have a good rest of your morning. Thank you. And we have our final set of interviews on Friday. That's the event.
Have a good day. Thanks. You too, Gabriel.